Can you believe that a man from China swam for over 10 hours just so he could get some of that Taiwanese freedom? Well, I can believe it, and in fact, I'm not even a little bit surprised. When searching for new video ideas, I quite often check the news related to Taiwan, and more than often, it's full of the same old crap that we've all heard a million times before, such as China will invade Taiwan soon, and Taiwan makes a lot of semiconductors, China threatens Taiwan again, etc., etc. But when I came across this story, I just had to talk about it, because you see, I once swam from China to Taiwan. Okay, I didn't do that, I'm just messing around here, but I seriously had to talk about this because it really illustrates a lot of the points that I make in my videos, and it slam dunks those points right into the CCP's face. So the story goes something like this. A Chinese man in his 40s from Fujian province packed some dry food, some medicine, and took some money and swam nearly 10 hours to Taiwan's Matsu Islands. This is no walk in the park, but he did it for a damn good reason. And in his words, he swam to Taiwan to seek freedom. The Matsu Islands are this small island chain and are a part of Taiwan's territory, and if you look at the map, you can see that they're very close to CCP territory. In fact, you can literally see communist China from the islands. Scary. And it must be very enticing for the Chinese people to see that small island in the distance that represents freedom. This small island that is so close. So anyway, during his epic and rather treacherous swim, out of all of the things that could have happened to him, out of all of the things that could have gone wrong, he got stung by a goddamn bee. Crazy. He made it to this place called Beiganxiang, which is part of the Matsu Islands, and he was in severe pain. Now, I'm not sure if he got stung by the bee during his swim. That sounds pretty impossible to me. But anyway, he approached some tourists in dire need of help, and the local authorities took him to the medical center there. And when asked about what he was doing, the man said he was on a dangerous journey to seek freedom. Now, it remains unseen as to what will happen to this man, but at least he made it to part of the free democratic country of Taiwan alive. Now, you might be thinking that this is an isolated incident, and yeah, not everybody who tries this risky swim gets stung by a bee, okay? But this swim for freedom, it happens more than the CCP would like to admit. In 2020, another man tried the same treacherous journey and was seized by the Taiwanese Coast Guard. The man was fleeing China to seek a better life in Taiwan because of the way China was handling the COVID pandemic with its ridiculous zero COVID policy. Remember that? And I seriously do not blame this guy for wanting to leave China at this time. It was bloody awful. And it's not just Taiwan that the Chinese people are fleeing to. I see stories all the time of desperate Chinese citizens fleeing their country to escape the oppressive CCP. In January of this year, a record-breaking 913 Chinese nationals made the deadly route known as the Darien Gap from Colombia to Panama through the jungle in hopes of reaching the USA. This is a horrific journey filled with dangers such as deadly snakes and spiders, flash floods, and criminal groups operate in the area that could exploit you, rob you, or even kill you. Many people attempt this arduous journey because the reward of this horrible trek is freedom. And even the life-threatening journey seems far more appealing than going back to a life of fear and paranoia, living under a horrible and tyrannical government like the CCP. They are willing to die rather than go back home to China, which really says something about the way the government operates in China. Oh, and let's not forget about Hong Kong. Ever since that ridiculous national security law introduced by the CCP, the people of Hong Kong have been desperate to get the hell out of there and get as far away from the CCP as possible. In January of 2021, the UK government offered Hong Kongers a new immigration route called the British National Overseas, or BNO route, which allows British nationals overseas, in particular from Hong Kong, to live and work in the UK for 5 years, providing them a pathway towards permanent residence or citizenship. And so far, 144,000 Hong Kongers have arrived into the UK under this scheme. Now, not all of them are loving life here in the UK. Obviously, they're going to encounter some problems, but at the very least, it gives them more opportunity to have some of that freedom that has been taken away from them by the CCP. That freedom that is slowly but surely being eradicated from Hong Kong. So this really begs to ask a question. If China is this amazing utopia, which is what the CCP claims it to be, then why are there so many Chinese people fleeing and risking their lives to escape the country? It's not as if record numbers of British people are fleeing the UK to go and live in communist China, right? And I'm not really reading a lot of stories about US citizens taking hostile and unforgiving migration routes to make it into China. Sure, a lot of foreigners head to China to earn some easy money, Taiwanese people included. Some foreigners go there teaching the ABCs in some training school, but you know what? They usually end up going back home after a little while, and that is because China is not an easy country to live in. Perhaps more important than this is that this man's story really flies in the face of the CCP's pathetic narrative that Taiwan is a province of China. If that's the case, then why did this Chinese man make this perilous swim to make it to Taiwan? Why on earth would he risk his life to swim to a place that is already a part of the country that he's a citizen of? Surely an easier route would be to hop on a boat or get on a plane and use his Chinese passport to enter Taiwan. But we all know that that's impossible, and it's never gonna happen. And why is that? Because Taiwan is not a part of China. The simple fact is that this brave man had had enough of living in a country where he has absolutely zero rights. A country where the government rules with an iron fist. An insecure government that can't take any criticism. And if people are brave enough to defy the government, well, they get disappeared. This man got desperate and wanted to go to a country where he can finally be free and have a better quality of life. He'd heard those stories, you know, the stories about an amazing democratic paradise just a stone's throw away, and he risked his life for some of that beautiful Taiwanese freedom. And I think that's something worth swimming for, even if you get stung by a bee on the way.